By the time you realize you've been isolated, you've already lost everyone. They didn't force you to leave. They didn't tell you to cut people off. You did it yourself, or at least that's what they made you believe. Right now, there's someone in your mind. Don't scroll past that thought. Who is it? Because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what they did to you. It started perfectly. Too perfectly. They understood you without trying. They said everything you needed to hear. They felt like home. But that wasn't love. That was access. You think they fell for you, but what if they didn't fall for you at all? Beat. What if they studied you and became exactly what you were missing? Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who felt perfect too fast? If you have, type too fast in the comments, because this is where it begins. At first, it's subtle. They don't attack your friends. They don't tell you to leave anyone. They just plant small ideas. They don't really get you. They don't want the best for you. And slowly, you start seeing people differently. You begin to pull away, not because you have to, but because it feels right. And this is important. Did you notice yourself becoming distant from people you used to talk to every day? If yes, comment drifting. Because that's not random. Then something shifts. They become everything. Your peace, your excitement, your escape. You stop needing anyone else. Not because they told you to, but because they made everyone else feel less important. And without realizing it, you start choosing them over everyone. Here's the part. No one notices. You didn't just get closer to them. Beat. You slowly became someone else. Someone your old self wouldn't even recognize. Be honest with yourself. Did you start picking them over your friends or family? Comment, I chose them. Now the control begins. But it doesn't look like control. It sounds like concern. I just don't like your friends. I feel uncomfortable when you go out. And you accept it. Because it feels like care. But it's not care. It's positioning. They are slowly becoming your only option. And here's something most people don't realize. Once someone becomes your only emotional source, they control how you feel. And then everything changes. They pull back. No warning, no explanation, just silence. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think the silence means something is broken. Let me tell you something that might feel a little too real. There was someone who used to talk to her every single day. Morning messages, late-night conversations, calls that lasted for hours. He made her feel like she mattered, like she was finally seen. And slowly, she started choosing him over everyone. She stopped replying to her friends. She stopped going out. She even ignored people who genuinely cared about her, because to her, he was enough. Until one day, he stopped. No messages, no calls, no explanation, just silence. And she sat there, staring at her phone, rereading old messages, wondering what she did wrong. She blamed herself. She thought maybe she wasn't enough. But here's what hurt the most. When she finally tried to go back to her friends, they weren't there anymore. Not because they didn't care, but because she disappeared first. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. She didn't lose him. She lost herself. But the silence is the strategy. And that silence breaks something inside you. You start overthinking. You replay conversations. You blame yourself. You try harder. You reach out more. You chase. Because now, nothing matters except getting them back. Let me ask you something honestly. Did you blame yourself when they changed? If you did, comment, "My fault," because this is where the trap closes. Your brain becomes addicted, not to them, but to the feeling they gave you. Love, then distance. Attention, then silence. And your mind starts chasing the high. At this point, you're not in a relationship anymore. You're in a psychological loop, and the more you try to fix it, the deeper you fall into it, again and again and again. And here's the dangerous part. You don't even realize you're losing yourself until one day you look around and realize something is missing. Your friends are gone. Your support is gone. Let me tell you something that hurts in a different way. There was a girl who had a best friend, someone who was always there for her through everything. They talked every day. They laughed about everything. They knew each other deeply until she met him, and slowly, she started replying less. "Sorry, I've been busy. I'll call you later." But later never came. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into silence. Her best friend noticed. She tried to reach out. She checked on her, but eventually, she stopped trying because it felt like she wasn't needed anymore. And the girl, she didn't even realize what she was losing because she thought she had something better. Until one day, he disappeared. Just like that. And when she finally went back to the person who was always there, the connection wasn't the same anymore. Not because it couldn't be fixed, but because something had already been broken, and that's when it hit her. She didn't just lose a relationship, she lost someone who actually cared about her, and the only person left is the one who created the emptiness. Read that again in your mind, because this is the truth. They didn't isolate you by controlling you. They isolated you by becoming everything. So when they pulled away, you had nothing left. And sometimes it gets even worse than that. There was someone who gave everything to one person: time, energy, attention. They cut people off, ignored red flags, stayed loyal, even when things didn't feel right, because they believed it would all be worth it. Beat. Until one day, they saw something they weren't supposed to see. That same person, the one they gave everything to, was giving the same attention to someone else. The same messages, the same energy, the same words. Beat. Like they were never special, like they were just replaceable. And in that moment, everything made sense. The distance, the silence, the change. Beat. They weren't losing someone, they were being replaced. And the hardest part, they lost everyone else for someone who already had someone else. And here's the truth that hits the hard. They don't need to control you anymore, because by now, you're controlling yourself for them. If this is starting to make sense to you, type "awake" in the comments, because awareness is the first step out of this. If this feels personal, you're not weak, you were conditioned, and the moment you understand this is the moment you take your power back. Now listen carefully. If this video helped you see something you didn't see before, subscribe. Not just for content, but so you never fall into this again without recognizing it. Like this video, because someone out there needs to hear this but hasn't found it yet, and share it. because you might be the reason someone wakes up. And before you go, think again. Who came to your mind at the beginning? Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Watch this again. And this time, pay attention to the signs you ignored. And now, think again. Who came to your mind at the beginning of this? Don't ignore it, because your mind doesn't pick people randomly. It remembers patterns, even when you don't. And here's the part most people don't want to admit. If that person showed up again right now, with the same attention, the same energy, the same words, you'd probably let them back in, not because you're weak, but because a part of you is still attached to the version of them that never really existed. And that's how the cycle repeats, over and over again, until one day you stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, why did I ignore the signs? Because the truth is, the signs were always there. You just didn't know what you were looking at. But now, you do. So the next time someone comes into your life and it feels too perfect, too fast, too intense, don't just feel it, observe it. Because not everyone who gives you everything is trying to keep you. Some people are preparing to remove everything, and next time, you won't miss it.